What's up, you data friends? It's Yanis here and welcome to my channel. Now please note that this video is actually video part 4 of the Unsupervised Machine Learning series. In the previous videos we have explained how to take some raw data from Excel, put it into an SQL database, then send the data from SQL to Python, then we ran principal component analysis and k-means clustering in Python, and then we save our results back to an SQL database. Now in this video we're going to show how to deploy those unsupervised machine learning results into a Power BI dashboard, and I'm going to show you how to build this dashboard from scratch. In this dashboard we are going to analyze all the traits of our clusters, our results, and create these valuable and actionable insights for the business. These insights is what makes a good data scientist, which is its ability to turn raw data into valuable and actionable insights for the business to use. Now, before we start building this dashboard now, let me just say that if you're new to my channel and you're passionate about data science, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. Right, starting from where we left it in the previous video, the first thing we want to do is to send this data, our output, into Power BI. So we open a new Power BI blank file. By the way, if you want a complete beginner's guide on Power BI, I'm going to have a link in the description. You should try and watch that first because I explain how to download it, install it, and use it, and generally where is everything in Power BI. Right, the first thing we want to do is to get the data from our SQL database or from a CSV file. So if you don't have the SQL database, you can get the data from a CSV. So you click on Get Data, and then here is I'm gonna pick the data from SQL first. Then I'm gonna show you how to do it through a CSV. I want to put my server, so the server name is actually gonna be this server name over here, or your server name, the one you have. I'll put it here, then I click OK, I have import, I click OK. Then I expand my database and I select the view. Remember how we created a view at the end of the previous video? Or you can just select the table. We can just inspect the data quickly that it has our clusters. There we go. Then I click load and I should have my data loaded. And now if I click here and then I click on the table, I can see that we've managed to load the raw data. If you are going to import the data using the CSV Excel file we have created in the previous video, which is this one over here, I will also have this file posted in my GitHub repository in case you just want to create this dashboard for this video. Then all you have to do is go back to Power BI, then you want to go into Get Data, then Excel. Then you need to go in the folder that we have exported that file, and if you don't know where it's exported, all you have to do is go back to Python and run this os.getCurrentWorking directory, and it's going to tell you exactly where it has exported this file. And then all you want to do is select this file. As you can see, we cannot see it now, but if you select all files, then it's going to be visible. Then you click open. Then you can see all the data just to confirm that we have all of our data in our clusters. Then we click load, and then this is going to load exactly the same table as we see over here. Right, the first thing we want to do now is to go back to the dashboard and increase the size of the page. So we click on here and then we click on page size. We change this type to be custom, and then I want to set this to 1500. And then this one to 2800. So you can see now we have a longer page, and I also want to go into view and I want to click on page view and I want to click on fit to page so I can actually see the whole page. The next thing I want to do now is to add a title and two small pictures on the left and the right side. To do this, I go into insert, I go into shapes, I insert a line. This is the line. Then what I want to do is to go here on the line and change the rotation of the line to be 90 degrees, not 80, 90. So we have a horizontal line. Then I want to make this smaller. Then I want to put it down here. Then I want to change the color to, okay, I don't like this theme palette. So if you want to change your theme palette, you can go into view, and then if you expand this, I usually use the classic one, so I'm gonna click on the classic. You can see if you hover over it, you can see which one it is. And then I want to change the line color now to this light, or maybe not, the one it was this light green. Right, now we want to add a title, so I go back into insert and I want to insert a text box, and this text box is going to be our title. So if I put it at the top, and I'm just going to copy and paste the title I have from the other dashboard. So our title is going to be Events Cluster Dashboard, and I'm going to make this smaller and put it in the middle over here. Maybe I'm going to push the line a bit up. The next thing I want to do is to add 2 pictures. So you can add your own pictures here as a logo, and then maybe a relevant picture. So I go into image, and then I want to select these 2 images I have over here. I can only do one at a time, so I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to make them smaller. I'm going to put it at the right, sorry, at the left, this one, and this one at the right. There we go. Right, the next thing I'm going to do now is to have a card that shows the total number of people that have completed this survey data. So each line is actually a person that has completed this questionnaire. To do this, I click here where we have a card. I make this smaller. I put it here at the top. Then I drag into it any field. So any column name is actually going to work if we use the count. Because remember, every single line is a person. So if I drag the age in here, we can see because I have the first value here, we get the first value of age, which is 17 or younger. But if I use the count, I get the count of rows. So you can see that we have a total of 14,780 people that have actually completed this questionnaire. Now I want to clean this to look better. So I'm going to remove the category. I'm going to change the color to this color. Then I'm going to add a title. So I enable the title. The title is going to be the number of data points or number of people. Then I want to put this in the middle. I want to increase the size to 12. I want to change the font to black. Then I also want to add a border over here and change the color to light green. And then I also want to add a 25 px radius. So it bends over the corners. So now we can see that, let me make this a bit bigger, maybe over there. We can see maybe a bit smaller too. There we go. So we can straight away see now how many people, how much raw data we have, how many people we have that completed the questionnaire. The next thing we want to add is our slicers. And to add slicers, all we have to do is click over here that we have the slicer. We want to put this at the top left, make it smaller and put it here. The first slicer we're going to use is gender. So I'll just search for it. I just drag the gender over here, and then just to test it, if I click on female, we can see that we have 4,000. And if I click on male, we have about 10,000.5. Now I want to make this look nicer. So I go on the options, general. I change the orientation to be horizontal. There we go. Then I want to remove the header, and I want to add the title. Title is going to be the same. Then I want to change the font color to black, put it in the middle, make it 12. Then I want to add a border, and it's going to be the same as the previous one. I want to set this to 20. Then I also want to change the background to be this light blue. And there we go. So if I test it now, again, it works fine and it looks better. Right, the next slicer is going to be age. So I click on the slicers again. I put it next to it. I make it smaller. We go, and then I search for age. Then I drag age into the slicer. Oh, I actually want to drag age in here. There we go. In the slicer, I want to delete this table. Then I want to make this a drop down by clicking on this arrow down here. Make this a drop down, so we can see now we can select the age. Then if I click on this one and I go into home and format painter, and then I touch on the second slicer, we can see that it added the border and the radius straight away. And the colors, actually the colors, we want them to be black. So let's change them to be the font black. There we go. Be black. The next thing I want to add here is the title, and the title is going to be age. There we go. And the next slices we are going to add. So we're going to repeat this process now for current status, household income, and district. So if I copy this and paste it 3 more times, then I put it next to each other. 1, 2, 3, and then for this one, I'm going to show you how to make them smaller in a second. So this one is going to be current status. So if I search for current status, I remove this and add current status. This one is going to be the household income. So if I search for it, move it, household income, this one. I also want to copy the names because I need to change the titles too. If I copy this, I go to the title, paste name, household income. Sorry, this one was, I forgot what was this one, current status. And the last one is going to be the district. So if I search for district, and remove the age quickly, add the district, then go to titles and say district. And just to check it, there we go, we have the district, we have the household income, we have the current status. We can also add the search. So if I add the search here, so we can actually search now. Same with the district. So if I click here, add the search, we can search now, which makes this much easier. Now I want to make these slicers smaller so I can feed one more slicer, which is going to be the clusters. So if I select all of them quickly and go into general, and then, by the way, to select all, just press Control and then select all of them. Go into general, and I'm going to change the width to be 214 and the height to be 74. There we go, they are much smaller now. And now I want to add one more slicer, and the other slicer, I'm just going to copy them gentle now because I need the same format. Put it here at the end, and this new slicer now is going to be my clusters. So if I search for clusters, I actually want to remove the gender, and it's going to be a cluster category. There we go, we have the clusters. I'm going to make this bigger now so everything is visible. And the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to try and order them and distribute. Go into format, go into align, and select distribute horizontally. As you can see, the overlaps. I'm just going to select the small ones actually and make them a bit smaller. So go under general, I set the width to be 110 maybe. Go, made space. So I think that's fine now. All I have to do is change this name now to be the clusters. So I'll go into title and just say clusters. Go, and I just test if they work. You can see they correspond to the visual above, so everything works fine. This one works, this one works. Yeah, everything is fine now. Right, so now we want to create our first section. So we go into insert, we add a new text box, and we make it take all the space. Then we make it a bit smaller. Inside, I'm going to paste the first section title, which is going to be the summary by district and country. And I'm going to put this in the middle. I'm going to make this a bit smaller. I'm going to push it at the top. I'm going to make sure it is aligned with the slicers. As you can see, we get these red dotted lines just to make sure it's aligned. The next thing I want to do is to add a border, and the border is going to be this light green. Radius 20, and I also want to add a background, and it's going to be a light blue this time. Moving on, we want to create our map now and visualize where are all these people on a map. To do this, we can select the map over here, and then we can put the map on the left side, make it a bit bigger, like this. The next thing we want to do is to add the district into the location. So if we search for district, we add the district over here, so you can see straight away it pointed people on the map. The next thing I want to do is to add the long and the lat, because we do have some errors there in the USA. So if I add the long, so into long, straight away you can see that it doesn't have the average, because in Power BI, if you use the location and then you also want to use long and lat, you actually have to turn your long and lat to be the averages. But because Power BI did not bring long and lat as a float or as a decimal with decimal places, then we need to go back and change this. So we need to go back to data. We need to right click on our table, go into edit query, we need to find the long and the lat. So I click control and I select both and I go into transform. As you can see, it recognizes them as text. However, they should be decimal numbers, so we can actually average them. So you can see it worked. Then I go back to home, I click close and apply. Then I go back to the front end, and now I should be able to average this field now. So you can see we have average now. So I select the average long, then I'm going to do the same with lat. Long lat over there. There we go, it worked. As you can see now, we still have one error down here, but we can look into that error later on. Now I can zoom in and see all my data points. The next thing I want to do is to click on any of the visuals, click on Format Painter, and then touch the map so we can add the background over here. Now we need to go and change the title. And also, if I go here and let me just change the title first. So now the title is the number of customers per district. The next thing I want to do is to go into Map Control and remove the Auto Zoom, because every time it zooms out all the time. So now if I scroll into UK, it's just going to stay into UK every time I change something. The next thing I want to do now is to go back into the bubbles and make them smaller just to be able to see more. So maybe minus, I'm going to put it minus 13. There we go, I can see more right now. And the next thing I want to do is to go back into these options, and into the legend, I'm going to add the clusters. So I will be able to visualize all these bubbles per cluster. So I search for cluster, cluster category, drag it into the legend. Why did it not work? There we go. So now we can even zoom in and see each area and its clusters. Additionally, we can change let's change one more thing so it's easier to see things. If I go into map styles, I can change the style into different, so you can see different themes. So I'm just going to select the grayscale, so we can, I think that's fine. I'm going to put the legend into the bottom center down here, and I'm going to make it into maybe 12, so it's more 10, 11 is fine, I think. Okay, let's see if this works. If I select cluster 1, yeah, 2, 3, it works fine. But if I select female, male, it works. If I select the rich people, then we can see, okay, works fine. The next thing I want to do now is to change the size of the graph just to match it with the other dashboard I have already. So I go into general and I want to set the width now to be what do I have over here, 680, so it's correct, and the height now to be 445. I click enter, and now I zoom out a bit so I can see more. As you can see, the dots are too small, so maybe we can make them a bit bigger. So we go back into bubbles and we put it maybe on, let's check 0. I think 0 is fine for now because we're going to use this map when we slice things down, so we still need to be able to see stuff, see everything. Right, the next thing I want to do is to add back to the title. I also want to add a background color, which is going to be this light blue. And the next thing we want to do now is to create a bar chart. So I click on a bar chart down here, and now we want to visualize the number of data points within each cluster. And to do this, I just want to drag into access the cluster category, and into value, I can literally count anything as I had before. So if I drag age again and I do count of age, you can see that we don't have them in order. I'm going to show you how to order them in a second, but you can see that we have all our clusters. The next thing I'm going to do is to click on this map, click on Format Painter, and then touch on this visual. So you can see straight away it used the same colors. So cluster 4 is the yellow, cluster 5 is the purple, etc., etc. The next thing I want to do is to change the title now, and the title for this one is going to be customers per cluster. And the next thing I'm going to do now is to order these to start from cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. To order them now, you want to go back into the raw data, find the clusters field, the clusters category field, and then go into column tools, click on sort by, and you want to sort this column by the clusters, which is the numbers next to it. So if we do this and then we go back at the front end and then we remove the clusters category and we add it back again, we can see that we have the clusters by order. Additionally, I have added the data values, the data labels over here, which I haven't shown. So it was like this before. So I click on so we can see the number of people per cluster. The next thing I want to do now is to also add the background, so it looks kind of nicer, and then we have this ready. The next visual we want now is a table that has the clusters as columns and then the districts as rows and then the number of people per cluster. To do this, we can select the matrix over here and we can add it here at the top. Also, we might need to make this visual a bit smaller, but we're going to adjust it later on. The next thing I want to do is to drag district. Actually, we do need cluster category as columns. We need district as rows, and we also need customer as count of customer. So there we go. We have count. We don't have count. We need count. There we go. We have the counts. The next thing I want to do now is to click on this visual, click on Format Painter, and then touch on here so we can add the background and the border straight away. I also want to go into General and I want to change, into Style. I want to change the style to be minimal. So it's much nicer now. I want to make this smaller. I want to order them by the total to see which district has the most. I also need to take all the space so we can visualize everything. So I need to make it bigger. So I'll make it bigger. I think that's fine. Then we need to make this much smaller, but it's all good. I think that is fine. The next thing I want to do is to add a title. So I click on it. I go down to titles, and the title of this one is going to be the district breakdown per cluster. Then we also want to change the name of the district to start with capitals, so it's nicer. Come on. And just to check if everything works now, we can just click on the filters or the slicers or the values, and we can see that everything works fine. So we can click on cluster 2, cluster 3, maybe we can use the slicers, female, male, or we can select, I don't know, an area, so we can see everything works fine and everything is interconnected. Right, the next thing we want to do now is to start analyzing our clusters. So I copy this, I paste it, I put it down here. Then I want to name this second section we have analyzing the traits of each cluster. And here is where we are going to visualize all of our clusters. By the way, we're still on cluster 3. We want to visualize all of our clusters and their traits so we can start making insights. To do this now, we are going to visualize every single field or variable we have by cluster and see what's the difference and investigate the common traits or the differences. And just to start on, I'm just going to create the first bar chart, which is going to be with the first field we have, which is the gender. So if I search gender, I add it into axis. The next one is going to be the count of customers as values. And the legend now, we're going to have the same legend for all visuals. The legend is going to be our clusters because we want to investigate our clusters. So if I add the cluster category straight away, and then we also, let's fix it first. So we click on this one, we click on Format Painter, and we touch on it so we can see we have the same colors. And we also have the borders and the title. The title is going to be, just going to change it quickly. It's going to be the clusters per gender. Gender. There we go. So what we can see, we can't get much out of this one. So I don't think it's going to help in any way, but we just have to visualize every single field we have. So very quickly now, I can copy this and paste it, put it next to it. I can paste it one more time. And I'm going to have 3 fields per row. So I put it here. I need to make them smaller so they can fit. So I'll make this smaller, make this a bit smaller. Here, maybe a bit bigger. Go. The next one I'm going to have is the age group. So I click on age. Then I want to replace gender with age. So you can see very quickly. So this is telling me something straight away. It's telling me that cluster 3 is mostly 40 to 49. Cluster 1, for example, is mostly people more than 50 years old. But we're going to go through the insights at the end after we visualize everything. So I want to change the title of this one now, which is going to be the clusters per age group. So I go into title, clusters per age group. The third one now we're going to use is the status. So I search for status. So here I remove the gender and I add the status. Again, straight away, this is telling me something. Mostly cluster 1 is married people with children. Mostly cluster 2 is single people, etc., etc. Next, I want to change the title of this one to be the clusters by status. So clusters per status. And I also want to go down to the legend and remove the legend so we can make a bit more space. I'm going to do the same for everyone actually. I don't want to see the legend. So I remove the legend. I remove the legend. Maybe we need to make them a bit bigger so we can see everything. Children, there we go. We can see everything. So we make everything a bit bigger, everything a bit bigger. Right, so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to pause this video and repeat this process of copying, pasting, and changing the fields for every single variable we have in our dataset. And I'm going to do this just to save time for this video. Right, so I have just finished adding all the variables. A few things to notice before we jump into the insights is that when you're adding the household income, you will need to make sure you need to order the column. So you click on the total household income, you go into sort columns, and you need to sort it by the household income order. This process you will have to repeat for other variables too. So for example, for the clusters per social media is the same case. So if I go into social media, again, you will need to click on social media and sort the column by, and then select the social media order. Same case applies for the adrenaline rush. Same case for the clusters per food, coffee, bars, toilet. Same case for satisfaction, recommendation, and then I think value for money. So for all of these variables, you will need to order them so you can see the right order. And this is why we have created the order columns in Python, if you remember in the previous video. I told you you are going to understand later on. This is why we have created all these columns. And the last thing to note for these last two graphs is that for this visual, I have used the cluster category as axis, and the value now is actually the average distance from the event, just to see if a specific cluster has any relationship with the distance to the event. And for this one, I have used the district as an axis and then the count of customers, just to be able to visualize it better versus what we have up here. Right, so now we can start investigating all these visuals to get insights. And please note that not all the visuals are going to give us insights for all clusters. Maybe some visuals are going to be more helpful than other visuals. And this is the case with the first visual that is not really telling us much. Right, just to make the video faster, I have copied and pasted all the insights, and I'm going to be going through them point by point versus having to write everything down. Sorry, I have just noticed that I have removed all the legends instead of removing the legend title. So we cannot really know, well, we can know which visual is which cluster, but we need to remember the colors. So very quickly, I'm going to add the legends back on and remove the legend title. So this is what I wanted to do before. So we add the legend, remove the title, add the legend, remove the title. There we go, it's done now. We have all the legends back on. Right, the methodology of creating insights for our clusters is the following. We start with cluster 1, which is the green cluster, and we go through every single graph or variable and we investigate the traits of the cluster. And I start with the first graph I have over here, which is the age group. And what we can see is that cluster 1 is mostly 50 plus years old. So we come down again and we make our first point, which is cluster 1 is mostly people with age being 50 plus. Then we continue to the next graph. So what we can see here is that cluster 1 is mostly married with children. Then we continue here, and what we can see is that cluster 1 has a household income of 35K all the way to 100K. So we come down again and we make our third point. The fourth point is that cluster 1 attends the events 3 to 4 times a year. So if we come up again, what we can see is that the green cluster is mostly 3 and 4 times a year. Then the social media, we can see that cluster 1 is mostly no time or up to 1 hour in social media. So we come down again, we make our point. Then we have kids playground as their favorite attraction. So what we can see this from here is that cluster 1 is mostly on kids playground. Then the satisfaction, we can see that cluster 1 is mostly satisfied. And then we come over here, which is the recommendation. And what we can see here is that they are all pretty much equal. So this variable or this graph is not actually giving us much. So we're going to skip this one. We don't have any insights for cluster 1 for this variable. The same way goes for this value per money over here. So now we have created the common traits of cluster 1. Moving on, we want to follow the same process and methodology for every other cluster. For example, for cluster 2, I have identified that it's mostly people who don't have kids, it's people who earn between 20 to 50K, it's people that attend events once or twice a year, etc., etc. You can actually download this file from my GitHub repository and see all the traits per cluster just to save us time. After you finish with writing down all of your insights, then you should publish or deploy this report into a web app and send the link to the business so they can actually start using these reports and your insights. At the same time, as a data scientist, you should support the wider team that is going to be using this report by proactively providing recommendations back to the business. And one example is the following. Let's say that you know that the business is going to be running marketing campaigns for their new event. And the way you can help is that you can say to the business, look, if this new event you are running does not have any kids playgrounds, for example, you know that cluster 1 and cluster 5 only goes to events that have kids playgrounds. So what you can do to help the business and help them save money and do a better targeting is that you can identify which people fall under cluster 1 and cluster 5 and then say to the business, look, do not spend any marketing money on those people. On the other hand, if you know that this new event is going to have a kids playground, then you can investigate the groups that go to these kinds of events, investigate what other traits they have. For example, cluster 1 is willing to travel 4 to 6 hours, same with cluster 5. So you know, no matter how far away they are, if you target them correctly, they are still going to come to the event if it has a kids playground. And this is just one example of the many based on all these insights you are going to be providing to the business. And regardless of the type of business you are going to be working for, whether they run events or not, every single company wants to segment their customers in order to manage them better, provide a better service to them, and at the end of the day, make more money out of them. So this is where data scientists come in, where we run all of these analyses and we provide insights back to the business in order to add value to the business. This is how you add value to the business. You provide actionable recommendations about what they are doing wrong and what they should be doing in the future. Right, I'm going to stop this video here and finish the rest of the tutorial in the next video, which is going to be how to create this dashboard over here, and it's going to be the last part of this series. I hope you've gained a very good understanding now on how to run unsupervised learning, how to deploy it, how to use the output to create insights, and how to add value to the business. If you feel that you've gained enough value out of this video, I would really appreciate it if you click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'm going to see you in the next video.